What's up, YouTube? Mark here from the Backpacking Gear Nut, and today I'm going to review a new tent that I just got. Last weekend I went up to Donner and I had a great time up there, and I have some nice views to show you that I'll put into this video. And it was just a blast. I got to try out all kinds of new equipment that I purchased myself with my own money, and it was so much fun. And that tent that I have is the Nemo Hornet Elite OSMO 2-person. So I think a lot of you want to know something about this tent, and I have a bunch of good things to say, but stick around to the end because there's one thing that might be a deal breaker for you. But before we get into it, can you please hit that like and subscribe button so that we can get this content out to more people? And if there's things that you know about this tent that I don't know, please put the comments down in the bottom so that other people can learn from your experience also. The first thing I like about this tent is its weight. It comes in at just a little over 2 pounds and a little over 930 grams. And it is a semi-freestanding tent, which means that on one side, the poles go to both corners, and then on the other side, there's just a single pole that goes over, so you still have to stake out some corners and your vestibules. But that helps make it lighter because there's less poles in there for less weight. Now, the other thing I like about this tent is for one person, it's roomy. Now, I told you this was a 2-person tent, but it's a glorified 2-person tent, in my opinion. Now, I know 2 people could sleep in there. I've heard other people on their channels talk about how in the previous version, they slept 2 people in there, but I don't feel like I'd be comfortable with 2 people in there because when I lay in there, my head will touch the top and the bottom unless I put my pad at an angle from corner to corner, and then it works great for me. I would also not like the fact that the entire night while you're sleeping, you're touching the wall on your side. The walls kind of lay in a little bit like this, and that's okay, except for me, for comfort, I wouldn't want to touch the walls all night. I'd feel like something was always like touching me or something, but it's great for one person. A lot of people buy this tent just for one person, and if you don't want to carry a trekking pole tent, this is a great option because of its weight. Another thing I like about it is it has this diffuser that's on the top for you to put your headlamp or another light in, and it diffuses the light in the tent so you don't have a bunch of harsh light in your eyes, and it's much more of an amber glow in the tent, which I really like. It's also got 2 pockets on each side so that you can put your small items in it. And it doesn't really have many more pockets than that. And that's to be expected because in order to get something lighter, it has to have thinner material. It has to have less options, less things in it in order to bring the weight down. So I can live with that. Now, it does have a bunch of little loops all over the place, which is great for hanging things. So I never felt like I didn't have enough places to like put my glasses and everything. It felt great. The tent really felt comfortable inside when I slept in it. I had quite a bit of wind when I was up there, and it was durable. It didn't cause any issues because I was literally right at the top of the mountain, and the wind would blow pretty darn hard, and I could hear the material doing its thing, and it held up just fine. The tent has 2 doors, and the doors have D-style zippers, and they work just fine except for when you're zipping on the downward angle, it will get caught, and then you have to just kind of jiggle it a little bit, and it'll then zip through. But when you're zipping it up, it goes up just fine every time with one hand. And I don't mind that. The doors work great for me. There's 1 on each side, which is nice because if you ever busted a zipper, you'd be able to just pin that all together and be able to still use the other side, and the tent would still be functional. It's got 2 vestibules on it, and they're pretty small. I expected that. I expected that because it's exactly, as far as I can tell, like the previous version, just a different fabric, and it had small vestibules, and that was okay because With this tent, you can get in tighter spaces and you don't have to have as much real estate in order to really stake your tent out. Now, as I mentioned, I had to put my pad at an angle so that I could fit in it. I don't remember if I told you, but I'm 6'1". That way it gives you an idea. So if you're like 5'10", you're golden all day long, lengthways. But for me, I was touching either side. Now the measurements on this is it has a length of 85 inches, 216 centimeters, and it has a width of 50 inches at the head and 42 inches at the foot. So that 50 inches at the head is 128 centimeters, and the foot at 42 inches is 107 centimeters. And then it has a height of 37 inches. I can't sit up in this tent without my head touching the top unless I'm crouched over. It's not a deal breaker, as you heard, because I like this thing, but definitely when I sit up, my head pushes up 3 or 4 inches into the top of it. And just to repeat myself, I'm 6'1", just so you can have an idea. Now, the fabric on the Osmo is some new proprietary fabric that they have, and it's 1200 millimeters, and it is ripstop, and that's all the specifications that they say that I can see. If anybody else knows anything else, please put that information down in the comments so that we can get as much information out to people as possible. I don't claim to know everything, but I do my best to be able to give you really good information and my own personal experience in the tent. I like the mesh, but the mesh is really thin, and I still feel like it's durable enough. I'm expecting it to be thin because that's how they shave weight on it. And it is a white no-see mesh. I like that and I don't like that because apparently the white mesh keeps people from being able to just see in real easy at nighttime. The problem with that is it goes all the way over the top as a no-see mesh, and there's no black mesh on the top so that you can look up at the stars at night. So if you sleep in your tent without the rainfly on, you're not really going to be able to see the stars very easy because of all the white mesh that your eyes have to focus through. The tent poles are made of aluminum, and they're very lightweight, and they feel like you got to be careful with them. But like I said, I had this tent out in a pretty strong wind and it was fine. So I said there was something that might be a deal breaker for you. And I'm going to read the email that I got from Nemo because I would rather use their words on this. I wasn't sure if this particular thing was something that should happen because it felt like that was not great. And so I contacted Nemo because they always talk about their warranty. They say how great their warranty is. And their response was, "Thank you for reaching out. While this is rare, the Osmo fabric for the Hornet Elite is made of a very light denier fabric and can be torn by sharp objects," which this was not a sharp object. "We do recommend using Gear Aid tenacious tape for any tent fabric repairs, and we'd be happy to send you a free repair kit if you can provide a good shipping address. If you believe this tent may have been made improperly, we'd encourage you to fill out our warranty claim. Otherwise, please let us know if you have any other questions. Sincerely," and I won't say his name. But so they were really nice, but because of how fragile that fabric is, if you pull on it, it'll tear. So you have to be really, really delicate with it when you get in and out of the tent. And I've never had one that the floor was so fragile that even with the ground cloth, that just moving around in there can tear the fabric. When I paid $600 of my own money for this tent, I knew that this tent, being a ultra light tent with poles, was going to be on the fragile side. Maybe it won't happen again after I repair the floor. I hope not, because this was almost the same price as a Z-Pax tent that was Dyneema. So I could have gotten a tent that was half of this weight for about the same amount of money. Hopefully this information helps you. And other than that, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and have a good day. See you on the next one.